Okay, you know from seeing my previous videos how much I hate contesters, how much I despise them, call them all kinds of names, even call them pigs. Well, today at the ARRL Convention in Boxboro, I actually met contesters I like. Now, I don't want to mislead you. This young lady, Erin, is not a contester. She's still human. She hasn't been corrupted by her father yet, okay? However, there are 3 gentlemen here that are contesters that are actually doing some good. I know you can't believe it, but they are actually contesters that are doing some good. Of course, you have a daughter here, so that's good right there. But we're going to hear from these 3 contesters on some of the good that they're doing, and I'm going to debate them a little bit about contests. I still do think that most contesters are not a very high form of life. But these 3 guys, different story. Thank you.
But most contests,
it's crazy.
It's call and number, a number.
Well, there's some piece of information you have to exchange, yeah.
And 5-9. What would interest me in a contest, if you had a contest where you had to give your name, your location, your other hobbies, where your family is, what your family does.
We have some like that too. Not too many of them. But we do have
because
some
that
like
way it would cause somebody to actually get to know the other person.
Right.
Because that's my complaint. I have 2 complaints with contesters. No useful information is exchanged, and then they hog the whole band. Yeah, but it's information. It's information that isn't true.
It doesn't matter. If you can copy the false information I give you, that's what matters.
Yeah, but all I have to do is write down 5-9 all the time.
Not always. Again, but there's different contests.
Right.
But the idea is for me to be able to give information to somebody as fast as possible, receive their information, and move on to the next contact.
Okay. I think what you're going to find out is that the Cigna report, that's been one of my things too, is that, should we just eliminate this 5-9 stuff?
Right.
Where in an NEQP contest, you give out your name, which becomes more personal. A lot of times,
the key word is personal.
Right.
Personal.
That's correct. What I've learned over the years is that it has piqued my ability to pull information out of somebody that is not a 5-9, is probably, maybe a 4-2 or something like that, somebody that's down in a QRP station. I tend to be able to hear those stations where somebody that is not used to contesting says, who'd you just talk to?
The biggest thing that you have to get that's different every time is a call sign. That sometimes is the most difficult part of the contest, getting the call sign. The extras do the exact same thing. When you contact, let's say you got a DX out of station out there,
you got a point there.
You get a 5-9. Everybody gets a 5-9. And the fact that it's 5-9, everybody gets a 5-9. But again, that's a limited number of contests. There's really only a handful of major contests every year that take up all the bands on
I would say.
And it's really, you still got 12, 17, 30 meters.
Okay, if the work bands are so good, why don't the contesters use the work band? We'll go back.
Okay, now let me ask you this. When I turn my radio on to 10, 15, 20, 40, 80, 160 during the week, what do I hear? Hissing. You're static. When you turn the radio on, even on a non-contest weekend, in between, there's dozens of KCs between stations. One of the nice things about contesting, that's arguable, is you could say that it promotes the use of the bands.
It does.
Because the bands do not get used anywhere near as much when we're not contesting as they do when we are contesting.
To me, it's important to learn about people. Like, you've got a daughter here, and she smiles as soon as that camera goes on. So to me, I like to learn about people, and then when you have that contest on that weekend, that basically takes that out. You can't.
Well, on those bands, it doesn't. There's no arguing that. And the other thing you could say is, if it's a sideband contest, maybe you could promote someone to learn CW.
Yeah, but there was a contest a couple of weeks ago that was the whole band.
The IARU is.
It was the AR.
That's CW and sideband in one weekend, but it's only 24 hours. For people who don't like the contest.
How do you feel if contesters during the contest weekends had 75% of a band segment and left 25% to us? Wouldn't that seem to be reasonable?
Well, it would be reasonable, I think, if there was some way we could know that 25% was going to be used. Because again, what I hear during the week and on non-contest weekends is a lot of empty, unused RF spectrum that people claim they need to have. We have done an awful lot to promote amateur radio contesting in Puerto Rico, where really there'd be stations on every contest, but
As long as I look
a
down
lot of people
to see
didn't
the
really know about it. We've gone down there, and with just what we've done in Carlos's station over the last several years, have really helped put Puerto Rico on the map for contesting. And I know the Puerto Rican
But
amateur
what about putting Puerto
appreciate
Rico on
that.
the map for me talking to somebody and learning about Puerto Rico?
And you know what? We should all be doing that. This is what we do as our part to help with that.
Right.
No one would ever argue. We need to make sure we operate on our frequencies that are assigned to us as much as we possibly can, so we can keep those frequencies alive and use it. And if it comes down to where, you know what, for so many people who want to rag chew, and so many people who want to do DXing, and so many people who want to do contesting on our HF bands at the same time, then maybe at that time it would be wise for us to say, okay, look, we're going to have to do something to fix this because there's too many people. But those are the days I look forward to.
I feel totally excluded. And in fact, if I'm on a digital mode like PSK 31,
I do radio mostly, but okay, yep.
those contesters, if it's a CW contest,
Yes.
they will come right in there and they'll eat you alive.
I have the same problem. If there's a sideband contest on that I'm not entering, I want to get on ready and I can't. It's wall-to-wall sideband signals.
Okay.
Are all contesters bad?
Well, you're not.
You don't know these guys, but I can tell you they're not either.
I'm a good guy too.
He's my brother.
I'm an avid contester.
You're at, well, okay.
I've been part of world record holders, and I'm a good guy too.
Yeah, but you're a contester. Those two words are oxymorons.
Hardly.
A good guy and contester.
Hardly.
How can those two words go together?
It's very, very easy. You just follow the rules.
See, now I'm going to be the bad guy.
Okay.
Right?
Well, I was about to say, however.
So, one of the things is reversing. All right? You're a net operator. You meet at 8 o'clock on 3800, let's say.
Okay.
Okay? However, you know, I get on 80 meters, let's say I'm on 80 meters at 7 o'clock on 3800. And I'm a contester, and I'm a contester.
Even if you're not.
You know, and even if I'm not.
Just operating.
What gives the net control operator the authority to come up and tell me that I have to move because they have a net starting?
If I'm the net control, and I don't do traffic. Traffic is even a lower class. Than
Yes.
contestants.
So there's something lower than contesters in your hierarchy?
Yes,
Let me
yes.
ask you, when you first came here, was contesting lower than net traffic handling?
Actually, contesters were lower.
Okay. So we have help.
That's a thing.
Yeah, yes. All right, but let me answer your question. If I'm the net control operator, assuming I was a traffic person and such a low person to begin with, okay, I would say to you, I said, we have a net on this frequency at 8 o'clock. Can we have the frequency? Would you be willing to yield the frequency to us? Okay, back to us. I would never say to you, we have a net on this frequency at 8 o'clock, you have to leave. You have a net to pass useless traffic while I'm sitting here talking and learning about the culture or the area of the person I'm talking to, and I'm engaging in useful information. I said, why should I leave? I said, I'm not leaving. I don't have any different opinion of contesters than I did before I came here. I do appreciate this gentleman. I appreciate what you are doing. You've talked to me and you told me that you are helping other people with towers.
Absolutely.
Okay, you are quite a few steps above the typical contester. Okay,
we are.
Okay, and you have this beautiful little girl, 15-year-old little girl that's here. And no contester can be bad if he's bringing his kid along, okay?
That's right.
So,
That if they want more information about us, they can check us out at www.wa1rr.org.
Aaron, KV1LOQ.
yeah, give me that call again.
KV1LOQ.
Okay, and now your story.
I'm Matt, WE1H.
Okay.
So a group of us went to Grenada in 2002 for the Secure Worldwide contest. And we met a bunch of locals out there, and we made some friends with some folks. And one of the things that they came to us and said, hey, you guys are technology people, can you help us out? We need computers to put into our rec center for the kids to learn technology. So we as a group worked with some folks down there and some other people back in the U.S. and organized for, 10?
We had 12
or 12?
systems.
12 complete PC systems that we put together and shipped down to Grenada so they could put them into their rec center.
Right.
And they actually put together a computer program for young kids from the donation of material from our group and another local contesting club.